So he's Mr. Sweet 16 at this point, right?
Yes.
Mr. Sweet 16. He's requested it because we are in the middle of the segment. And the last time we called him, I think we were in the middle of the segment. So he didn't get his patented song.
Yes.
So that's requested. And again, if you're in back-to-back Sweet 16s, I think it's the third Sweet 16 he's taking the Canes to. You get whatever the hell you want on this show. So 1 second. So we can.
If he asked us to play "You've Lost That Loving Feeling," we would be happy to do it. Now, that's significant in my lifetime because it was actually the song my now wife, the lovely Mustang Sally, requested that we play as we walk down the aisle.
That says a lot of
Never close your eyes anymore.
This gentleman has that feeling today. I think he has more of this kind of a feeling today.
Jim Larranaga, we love you, Jim Larranaga. Coach Larranaga, won't you do us a favor? Bring us a winner, one stinking winner. Deliver a winner in this town filled with losers.
Buenos dias. The cafecito is piping hot. Why not enjoy it with Defo and Lubie? It's now time for the Defo Show.
You see, Lubie, now that AM radio is going into extinction with not even being placed in automobiles anymore by law. I mean, no more gas automobiles, no more AM radios in automobiles. Caller-driven radio had its merits. It really did.
Yep.
And people would routinely sing the praises of this man, who is writing yet another incredible story here with the University of Miami basketball team. And it's always a pleasure because we consider him a basketball treasure chest, and a pleasure to get to talk to him on the program here. We welcome to the show head coach at the University of Miami, headed for the Sweet 16, the great Jim Larranaga. Coach, how are you? You must be feeling pretty good because I saw the shot of you getting off the bus there, and you were all smiles, my friend. You lit up the outside there, outside the athletic center.
Yeah, it was a great day for the Miami Hurricanes basketball team, all our fans, our university, the students, and everything. Defo, did you happen to see Norchad Omier give me a hug and then
yes,
give me a kiss?
Yes, I loved every minute of that because did you show Omier pictures of Wes Unseld before the game? That was, I mean, all I could think of is 6'7", not quite the big butt that Unseld had. I don't know that he's going to launch those two-handed overhead outlet passes, but what a monster rebounding game this guy had.
Yeah, 17 rebounds, 8 offensive, 9 defensive. He was great. And we needed every one of those.
Yes.
Indiana's big man is a first-team All-American. He was going into our game averaging 24 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 blocks. So the guy, Trace Jackson Davis.
Yes, excellent player. Yeah, and you had an interesting strategy. I mean, obviously you wanted to, erase this guy, but tell us about Omier, because you told us a story about, with George Mason when you had the guy that had the 2 bum ankles, and he went and sat in Lake Michigan for like a couple of hours, and all of a sudden, I mean, it was like he went to a Benny Hinn revival. I mean, if Omier was hurting, I thought the headline, especially for the St. Patty's Day game when he played in the first game, was "Omiracle" would have been appropriate. How the hell did this guy get better so fast?
Yeah, I got a text after Norchad Omier sprained his ankle against Duke. I got a text from one of my sons who wrote, fly Debbie Corbato down and let her do her miracle like she did for Jai Lewis back in 06.
Exactly.
And Debbie Corbato was our trainer. But we have our own Debbie Corbato in Sam Johnson, who's a miracle worker himself. I said he should be MVP of the Drake games because he spent every waking hour working with Norchad to get that ankle well enough. Norchad did not practice we lost on Friday to Duke. Mm-hmm. We did not practice Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He finally practiced on Thursday for about a half hour.
Oh, geez.
And then played great on Friday. So it was a miracle, and Sam Johnson deserves all the credit. And, of course, Norchad, for all the time he devoted. At one point, he said to Sam, how many times do I have to come back here? And he said, until you're better. So
I don't know what you did. Yeah, I mean, that definitely looked like he came out of some religious revival there and thrown his crutches away. Short of any intervention of God, it seemed impossible he was going to play that effectively. And as you said, those were monster rebounds in the second game, and he was just as important in the first one. Let's backtrack, Coach, to the first game against Drake. We had a coach that you're probably familiar with, a former NCAA coach, Scott Spinelli, on an interview, and he does a podcast now and handicaps basketball, and talks about college basketball. And he had pointed out before this matchup was made that Drake was one of his teams to watch, that they were a very clever basketball team. And then we saw in the 5 versus 12 matchup, there you are pitted against Drake while possibly compromised without Omier, who we saw was such a huge factor. So what were your thoughts going into that game? And I have to admit, I mean, during the middle of the first half there, I think at some point towards the end, you guys were like 5 for 25 on from the floor shooting. I was on a dilaudid drip. I don't know how you kept it together. I guess you were still in a game, so that was an encouraging thing. But that had to be a tough one, that first half to endure.
Well, here's the thing about people. There are some people that the moment is great, and they're going to rise above all the pressure, all the stress, and just play great. There are some people that the circumstance, you get too excited, you're too psyched up, and it's hard. You're actually thinking too much. And that's what happened to start our game. We were so fired up, we were anxious and started taking some ill-advised shots. So we shot the ball poorly, not because we're a bad shooting team, but because everybody just wanted to play so well. And by playing so great in the last 4 minutes, going on a 16-1 run, and winning, I think, by 7 points, that allowed us to move on to play Indiana, where we were much more relaxed, much more comfortable. And I have so much confidence in Isaiah Wong and Jordan Miller. I knew they were both going to bounce back and have great games. And boy, did they. Isaiah scored 27. Jordan Miller was fantastic. He had 19, plus he guarded Trace Jackson Davis and did a fantastic job on him once Norchad got in foul trouble. So when you think about the different circumstances you're dealing with as a coach, against Drake, I had to calm him down. Against Indiana, I didn't have to say anything because those guys were playing great. And I said to the media afterwards in the press conference, I don't know how many of you noticed, but I never called a timeout, not a single timeout.
That was amazing.
The first half, not one in the second half.
That's funny.
I was so confident the guys were playing so well, so hard, so smart, that whatever happened, they would figure it out. And if they didn't, I had plenty of timeouts to call at the end of the game. But I didn't need to call them. We ended up winning by 16, and now we're in the Sweet 16.
What's interesting,
along with our women's program.
Yeah, that was a great game last night.
At the buzzer.
Yeah.
Did you call that play into Katie Meyer? Say, hey, go low post here and just hoist one up?
I'm feeling that one. We need to give it a good name. What's a good name? Lady Hurricane.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I watched that game, and it looked like it was slipping away. You experienced a little bit of that towards the end of the regular season, big leads evaporating, and this one looked like it was somehow destined to go towards the home team. But Indiana, I mean, this was like the third-ranked team in the country.
That was at Bloomington.
Yep.
Yes.
The University of Indiana's home court. You're playing a road game in front of a hostile crowd. So
They left the arena crying, which is my favorite. Yeah.
There's a lot to be proud of.
Sure, that was great.
Look, Coach, and what was interesting is, the announcers, and I give them credit, noticed this during the game. They talked about you versus the Drake game, in the Drake game versus Drake, switching to a full court press in the middle of the game. The announcer talked about it. Then at halftime, they talked with you about it, or they might have talked with you after the game about it. And you talked about how not only was there for defense, but it was more for offense. Now that you're talking, it makes perfect sense. Did you switch to the full court just to get them out of their heads? Because now that they're focusing on the full court press, they're not focusing on every last shot.
Yeah, because what you do is shooting is a mental thing. if you have confidence, you're shooting the ball well. If you start questioning yourself, you miss a shot, or you think you got fouled, you're in your own head. The full court pressure and the traps and everything, but to get us focused on defense, because defense can really lead to great offense, and that's what happened in the Drake game.
Coach Jim Larranaga, the University of Miami basketball head coach, with us here, heading for the Sweet 16, and we'll get into the upcoming matchup they have against Houston. But I want to go back to this Indiana game because I mean, it looked like, I mean, obviously your strategy seemed to be, hey, we got to stop this big man down low, and you actually had Omier. Was he not fronting or attempting to front? Their you know their main you know offensive weapon in the early portion, and then that was taken. I mean, a tremendous amount of energy just to stay with this kid and put him in a compromising position, and then you know to be able to also rebound effectively like he was. Pretty amazing. You know, what was the strategy there? Did you just want to, you know, take that one weapon away and let the rest of the game be decided by the other players on the roster?
Yeah, kind of. So our expression is one man guards the ball and four men help him guard the ball. But in this case, we changed it.
Nice.
We said one man guards the ball and four guys guard Trace Jackson Davis.
Yeah.
So we had Norchad Omier fronting, and then the other guys helping behind. And then when he got in foul trouble, we had AJ Casey doing the same thing, fronting, and we helped him. And then we had Anthony Walker doing it. And then finally, the fourth guy, Jordan Miller. And Jordan did perhaps the best job of keeping the ball out of his hands and frustrating him.
Oh, it was great, and obviously a strategy that that worked very well. All right, and then you pull away in the end game. I mean, it was still they come out and hit you with a haymaker, open up the second half. You guys seem to be in control. The lead dwindled down to 5 at halftime, but it seemed like you were outplaying, out hustling Indiana throughout the game, and certainly the kids had their shooting touch in the first half of that game. But they come right out. I think didn't they take the lead? They scored like the first 7. And then it was kind of nip and tuck back and forth. So, what were your thoughts during that part of the ball game, kind of the third quarter, if you will, of the basketball game against Indiana?
You and your listeners might enjoy this. The halftime talk was this. My staff and I were talking about. We had 4 different guys guard Trace Jackson Davis in the first half.
Yeah.
So my coaches and I decided, you know what? Let's just start Jordan Miller on him and help Norchad stay out of foul trouble. That was the first thing. And then we said, hey, they've been ball screening. Maybe in the first half the traps work, but we got to be careful in the second half. If they've made an adjustment against the traps and can get at the ball to Trace Jackson Davis in the high post, we're going to have to make an adjustment and go under the ball screen, not trap the ball screen. So we went out and talked to the team, and I said, listen, strategy is going to be the same, except we're going to make one adjustment. Jordan Miller will start on Trace Jackson Davis. And Norchad Omier says, yeah, we already decided that. I said, wait a minute. What do you mean you guys decided? Did you talk about it? Yeah, coach, we thought it was better if Jordan guarded him and I guarded the other guy, and I just helped Jordan so I could stay out of foul trouble. I said, well, we're all in agreement then.
There's your coach on the floor concept. Yeah.
And then we said, hey, if they start attacking the traps, then we're going to start going under the ball screen. And everybody was in agreement. And that's what happened in the first few minutes of the second half. They made the adjustment of putting Trace Jackson, not Davis, not in the low post, but the high post.
Screens, yeah.
They threw it to him. And so we decided at the first TV timeout, okay, now here's the second adjustment. We're going to go under ball screens and not trap the ball. And then that got us back the lead, and then we never relinquished it.
Yeah, and then eventually seized control completely there, run away and hide by 16. All right, you face a number 1 seed. 2 have already been knocked off in the tournament. By the way, I mean, I don't know. I know you were busy with your own agenda there, but I don't know how much of the other action you've caught, but sensational tournament so far, including, some freakish upsets. I don't know that people would consider this that big of an upset. As the Hurricanes obviously were ranked in the top 15 throughout a lot of the season. Houston, though, is flirting with number one for much of the season, back and forth in and out of that position in the top five. How do you size them up? And, they've shown some vulnerability in their 2 games in the tournament. They haven't been brilliant. So what do you make of the matchup, Coach L?
Well, first of all, Kelvin Sampson and his staff have done an amazing job of rebuilding that Houston basketball program, and they've been terrific, not just this year, but last year and previous years. They've got a great combination of players. Shed, their point guard, and Marcus Sasser, their All-American 2 guard, are just a tremendous backcourt. And our guards will have their hands full with those guys, just like they'll have their hands full with us. And then their small forward, Mark, is a really talented, kind of a slasher, Stacey Augman type, left-handed and very good 15-foot jump shooter. Then they have 2 big guys, Roberts and Walker, are just beasts on the backboards. My coaches have said this, that they're extremely athletic, extremely physical, and very, very strong. So it's not just that they play hard, but they're putting bodies on you. They do something that NBA teams do. You're running out to set a ball screen. Let's say Norchad's running out to set a ball screen. His man will shove him into our dribbler. That's how physical they are.
Wow.
They put their hands on you and shove you and push you around. And when a team does that, it disrupts your offense. You're not going to get a natural ball screen action. So what my coaching staff and I will be meeting this morning at 9:30 for the next few days and trying to put together a game plan that will work against these guys. And I'm sure our players, you don't actually have a lot of time. We didn't have practice yesterday. We didn't get back until 2:00, and the guys needed to get rest, get to class. We started second semester on Monday. And then today we'll practice at 3:00. It won't be long because, again, we played a game on Friday, a game on Sunday, traveled on Monday. So we'll have a short practice today, a very, very short practice tomorrow, and then we depart to Kansas City, a 3 or 4 hour flight. And then we practice on Thursday a short while and play on Friday. So our preparation for Houston is to rest and recover, try to get the energy level back up, and to have a good offensive game plan against an outstanding defensive team. Their defense is ranked 4th in the country, and their offensive rebounding is 4th in the country. So we know we got to block out and rebound, and we know we're going to have to share the ball to be able to score against these guys.
I don't imagine, Coach, that you were a fan of the old Dean Smith 4 corners, because one thing that amazes me is the way you guys push the ball up the court after a missed shot by the opposition. I mean, there's no fooling around. You almost look a little like I thought I saw Paul Westhead sitting on the bench there.
Defo, one of the things that I've done throughout my coaching career, and of course my assistant coaches have really implemented our philosophy, is I believe that basketball is a track meet, and the idea is try to outrun the opponent and score before their defense gets set. It's much harder scoring on a team when they have all 5 guys back.
Sure.
It just is. But if you can get them when it's 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 3-on-2, 4-on-3, 5-on-4, where you have even a one-man advantage, take advantage of that. So like Nigel Pack, someone asked me, man, he came down a fast break and launched a 3. I said, yeah, it was a great shot. Yeah, but he missed. Yeah, but he normally makes those. Those are very hard to guard. He's a great shooter. Isaiah Long went 1-on-1 in the open court. Yeah, because he's really hard to guard in the open court. You have to have the tremendous confidence in your players to make good decisions. And the great Bob Rotella, Dr. Rotella, the great sports psychologist, tells me, train then trust. Train them in practice to play the way you want, and then trust them to do the right things that they believe in the system. And that's what we've done. And our players believe in the coaches. They believe in our philosophy. And they're great at executing our game plan. And they showed that against Indiana.
It all sounds sweet, Coach, and congratulations. We always appreciate having a chance to talk with you and having you share your thoughts here on the game. And we'll wish you all the best of luck going to Kansas City, and looking forward to the Hurricanes coming right back and making the Elite Eight. Thanks so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure.
My pleasure, guys.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Coach Jim Larranaga.